Hey traders, John Howell here. So today, gold and silver have had a nice breakout just recently, and while that's good, and while that's exactly what I've been expecting, which is a breakout, especially on the silver breakout right now and the gold breakout. I'll be talking a lot about that today. One of the things that I really want to sort of just bring your attention to is that where we are right now in the overall market cycle of things and where we are. Just understanding that so we can not get sort of too ahead of ourselves and the FOMO can not kick in, but we can just understand what's going on right now in the markets, and so we can have a good understanding of where we are. And if we go look at this one here, this is the Wall Street cheat sheet here, and just remember that where we are right now in the metals and also the mining sector, by the way, is up through here. We're getting to the thrill and also euphoria. We're getting like that in Bitcoin. We're like that right now in the stock market, and we're like that right now in gold and silver as well too. So there's a lot of optimism around these markets because we've just been going up and up and up and up right now. And so you just want to be careful, or you just want to be not careful. The wrong word is sort of understand where we are right now, because what's probably going to come real soon out of the markets from a trading perspective anyway. So if we have a look at gold has started to slightly break out from here. My data's actually missing from here, but we've actually started to slightly break out. Again, my data's actually missing here, but we can actually see one thing I'm expecting right now is I believe we're getting towards the end of this very big bull move in gold. So while I do see we're likely to see another push to the upside real soon out of gold, I believe we're getting ready for potentially see this back here. So this is what I see coming actually. You can see how we've actually had this bull market back here since 2009. So low, and we had this nice good bull market, right? Nice good higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. We had a bit of a sideways phase here for a couple months or more, and then we had one big spike up through here. I'm actually expecting something like this to come out of gold, which could send us up to around the 4,000 level. But then I'm actually expecting this, where gold is going to do the same thing. And if you see this here, most big bull markets in gold, as you can see, so that was the big bull market. This big bull phase started around the middle of 2009. As you can see, it was the middle of 2011. That's when the top was formed, and it was around the middle of 2009. As you can see, so roughly 2 years worth of bull market that we actually started. But what ended up finishing this bull market off, or this bull phase off, in this particular scenario, was indeed a very strong vertical move. So that's sort of what I'm expecting now over the next, say, couple of weeks, maybe even through the rest of this month. I'm expecting some sort of strong breakout on the gold market. And if history does give us some sort of gauge, which most of the time, these really big sort of extended bull markets that stair step up, they last around 2 years, and then we go through these consolidation phases, very similar to this here. So what you want to be sort of watching out for is with gold is that if we start to get something that looks like this here, right? So if we start to get something that looks like this here, we're stair stepping up, just understand if we do get something like this here over the next couple of weeks, and we start to see some really big moves out of gold, you know we're now towards the end of this very big, this so-called vertical move is that blow off the ending phase before we end up going through something like this again. So that's what you want to see right now. That's what I'm looking to see right now, is do we end up seeing that? So what that would look like for me is, do we end up starting to see a nice, which I do believe, by the way, we're at that level. Do we now start to see something like this, you know, over the next, say, maybe the rest of this September? If we get something like that, like a real big vertical move, it is a warning sign that this very big bull market we've been in since basically the start of 2024 is now coming to an end. And typically that's what the market does. So we may even get that in the stock market right now as well too, meaning if this is going to be the end, we may get a very big move to the upside. So that's what I'm seeing there with gold, guys. And traders, if you if you're making a lot of mistakes right now and you're looking for some help, I'm giving away a free trading course. That's that first thing in the description. If you go to johnsfreegift.com, I'm giving away a free trading course talking through like the biggest mistakes you're making right now and how to overcome them, my trading system, the trading techniques and stuff like that to help you with your trading. So if you do need some help, guys, that first thing in the description, I'm giving away access to my full complete trading course. This is the best stuff that I can give you out of my last 20 years of trading. I really condensed it down to, I think it's like 7 or 8 videos in that free course you're going to get. So go get access to that, guys. Now, looking at, so that's the gold price there. If I bring up the silver price, silver actually had a really nice update. Just recently, just yesterday. Again, my data's actually missing from this trading view here, but we did get the breakout. So looking at this chart here, looking at this chart here of a really big update in silver, if we squeeze our charts up, it does look like that now. After breaking this level here, it looks like they were likely to have a nice move up to around the 44 level. So over the next couple of weeks, we could start to see a nice rise in the gold price. We could possibly start to see a nice rise in silver. But just remember too, guys, right? Just a reminder that this is getting now towards the end of this bull phase before we start to see another really good correction out of the markets. And this is typically what happens in the markets. So if you are trading the markets, I do expect to see more upside to come. And again, maybe the 44 level would be a target for me out of this level here, especially being through here right now. But then after that, then that's when I see some really big pullbacks coming out of the markets from that level, from there to there. So that's the overall gold and silver for you guys. Just an update across the actual stock market side of things as well too. And if I'm looking at the real big picture out of the stock market, the stock market is getting now towards the end of this move once again. So a lot of these things are, even though I'm expecting more upside to come very soon, we're getting towards the end of this phase here. Okay, very big move to the upside. And one of the smart things to do is just to see, okay, every time we do have big moves, we do end up coming for a pullback. And I do believe see this gap down the bottom here. I don't actually see any other big gaps that weren't filled. So that gap there on this little gap here, is that the actual gap on the daily chart as well? Yeah, so it looks like there's a little bit of a gap there. NASDAQ as well too, actually had a bit of a gap as well too. So this is actually a bit of a gap through here on the NASDAQ. We gotta look at that weekly chart once again as well. So that weekly chart up there, this is the weekly chart. Yeah, so there's a bit of a gap here. So I honestly believe that's going to get filled. Now, it may not be now, right? We may have, just like gold and silver, we may have another push to the upside. Just bear in mind the same analysis applies for all markets. And what that means is this, is that if this is going to be another move to the upside and we start to get a holding here and we start to do that and we start to go for another move, now we're going to really start to tip into the scales of extreme greed in the marketplace. And within this extreme greed, this is the wrong time to be looking at it. And when that happens, then we may start to see this thing start to cradle and start to go down from here. Same for the S&P 500. We're in a very big bull market right now. I wouldn't want to be looking to short this, which I'm not. But looking at this level from here, looking at the S&P 500, if we do start to see this thing rise to the upside like that, from that point through there, then once again, this is the last. If you look at a tank of fuel, right, down the bottom here is like the tank of fuel is 100. It's full, but the more it goes up, the more fuel you're using. The more fuel you're using, the more fuel you're using. So if we do have a move to the upside, understand that the tank of fuel has only got about 20% left before we need to go through a bit of a resting phase, before we need to start to refuel again. And stuff like that. And you see this happen with all markets, right? Like look at the gold market. You see this here. We go for a very big move to the upside for a while, and what ends up happening? We end up going through one of these guys. What is that? This is now refueling to go for another move. Refueling to go for another move. Refueling, and as you can see, we end up just going through these moves, refuel, moves, refuel, and that's why I'm expecting another move. but but also another correction on the downside, much quicker from there. Looking at that process from there. So just an update also as well too, guys, is that someone was also asking me about platinum in the comment section below, and I honestly believe platinum is in the early stages of a very big bull market. The early stages. Now, a very big bull market is higher lows, and that's what the market's doing right now. Just like all markets, as you can see here, what happened with Ethereum, and this is like happened with all markets, right? What happened what happened with platinum? We had this very big little breakout and then a very big move to the upside, but inevitably after very big vertical moves, this is where like getting into vertical moves on any market is very risky, like the stock market, because inevitably we're going to get something like this going on, right? Where the market's going to stop and it's going to reverse against you, typically quite fast as well too, just like platinum did. But that's the daily charts on platinum. We can then go see this weekly charts here, and most of the time by looking at platinum, even though we're going through one of these pullbacks, I honestly believe that this is the start of a very big bull move, meaning we're going up, we're coming back down. We're probably going to do something like this for a couple of months, maybe something like that, and then we're going to get ready to go again. I believe this is going to be the overall big stair step. So this is going to be the first stair step out of a very big bull market. And again, a very big bull market is doing exactly what it's doing right now, right? We go up for a few months. Now we're just going, this is now going through what's called a time phase or a refueling phase before we start to see another move to the upside. And just remember, guys, this is how all markets work. And once you understand this, you can step aside and not get involved with it, right? Like for example, Ethereum. If we have a look at Ethereum, look what Ethereum did. Why is Ethereum now sort of petering out, if that's going to be the right? Why is it petering out now for? Because we just had a very big move to the upside, little pullback, another move to the upside, and now we're just doing nothing. Right now we're just doing nothing. Right, this bull phase here is over. It now needs to go through another refilling phase like here before we get going again. Make sense? So that's what we're seeing right now on the good old Ethereum. Also the good old Bitcoin as well too. Bitcoin bull market is over right now. And we're still heading to the downside from here. And we also can see here that by looking at this weekly chart, you can see it's definitely failing from here on this particular chart from here. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see Bitcoin maybe even have a lot more of a drop. There's been a lot of bullishness around this level from here. So maybe even a drop down to this level here somewhere. Maybe down to the mid-range through here. So looking at that from there to there. Yep. So we can see that through there. So possibly even a drop down to that level from there to there, guys. Again, we may have this whole mid-range through here. So maybe the low 990s on the good old Bitcoin from there as well too. So, and just an update, guys, as well too, by looking at the oil price as well. Oil prices continue to be very downward phased on here. Very lower highs all through here, lower highs. And now we're in this big downward phase, down, down, down. Right, and then now we're going through this phase through here. So oil is still very weak on the short term, the actual oil chart itself. So very short term downward focus. If this is going to start to change the tune, it would need to start to hold here and start to pick back up. Right now, that's not the case. Right now, the tune is down, the trend is down, and the trend is your friend at all times. And so therefore, that's what happens. For the tune to change, we would need to start to create a higher low. If oil does hold here, and we start to go through here and we break up, this is now going to be a downward into now a new upswing. And if that happens, we get something like that, we'll probably get a retest, meaning if it does break out here, we'll probably come back down, retest, and then start to see a nice move back to the upside from there. So there we go, traders. That's a bit of an update for you across all these markets from here. The overall sentiment, guys, again, just the sentiment of these markets here is I'm getting a lot of thrill and euphoria in these markets. And while we're seeing some nice breakouts here, and I'm expecting to see even more, probably even the stock market as well too, there's a lot of greed around the marketplace, and this is the time to understand where we are in the phase of things. And sometimes it's just the best idea to, if you're involved with it, understand that, so you're not looking for a massive big bull market for 6 months. You understand where we're at right now. And then you can just make much better decisions from there as well too. So traders, once again, if you do need some help with your trading, I'm giving away free access to my trading course. That's first link in the description. Or if you would like to join me more, if you actually would like more hand-holding coaching every single day for an hour or so while the market's open, where you may be really good for what's called my inner circle group, or even maybe even potentially what's called my 1% group, where you're with me every week and every day the market's open, and I can sort of help you for an hour or so, and you join a very small group. My group right now is just around 15 people. So if you'd like to get some more hand-holding help around understanding these sort of things and trading setups and trade management and the mindset sort of stuff, there's the application form, guys, on the second link in the description. Go fill that out, and I'll speak to you guys real soon.